good day, and Hotep, and welcome to Harambe. We have a wonderful show in store for you today. We would like to introduce you to the African Ancestral Chamber and also tell you a little bit about the event that we've recently held in Richmond, Virginia, titled Ancestor Day and Fete. Today I have some guests with me who are members of the African Ancestral Chamber. But before we get to them, let me tell you a little bit about the African Ancestral Chamber. It was actually formulated very recent, just this year. It is a group of very powerful, as one brother put it, elite group of individuals who are interested in the social and economic advancement of our community. Mentoring is a very important aspect of our group. And without further ado, let me go ahead and introduce our other members who are here with us. First, I'd like to introduce you to Brother Omowale Maceo Dean Jr. And also I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Linda Kareem.
Good evening, everyone.
These are two members of a 13-member body, and we are sharing with you today some highlights from the recent event that we had, Ancestor Day and Fete, here in Richmond, Virginia. Omowale, would you like to talk a little bit about the event?
Oh, sure. I'm really excited about being here and presenting ourselves to the community. Speaking about this African Ancestor Day celebration we had on October the 27th at the Williamsburg Road Flea Market. And then we had continued on with the celebration on to Sunday, which was October the 28th, down at the African Burial Ground. We had a very nice and beautiful processional going from the African Burial Ground up to our Egyptian building up at 13th and Marshall Streets. On the first day of the event, it was just so powerful and dynamic as we had all of these different individuals within the African Ancestral Chamber. They presented and contributed their particular expertise to the event. We had Miss Queen Linda Kareem all set. She spoke on DNA repair. We had another brother, Alkebu-lan. You know, he spoke on the signs, symbols, and colors, which was the theme, right, of the program. And of course, our sister Josine came in, and she spoke on rituals. Also, we had Sister Monica, Queen Monica Hetero. She spoke on the legacy, right?
Mm-hmm. Resurrection of the royal family.
Right, resurrection of the royal family, and we had a round table, sort of a business African business round table where we were reaching out to the community, trying to come up with special economic endeavors and ideas where the whole community could become involved in it and can prosper. And then we had a brother named Abubakr talk about the essentials of unity. You'll soon see some clips and film excerpts from this program, and hope you enjoy them.
Thank you. Education has very little to do with what I give you. It has to do with what you give me. That's right. I impart information, a tap into the untapped potential in order to bring out that which is already in you. For that reason, I'll be asking you a series of questions. I will be asking you questions you don't know the answers to. You're going to know the answers to these questions. Ready to get started?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Okay.
Is a number a word? Is a number a word? A number is a word. First slide. This one before that. The one that says five, F-I-V-E. She doesn't have it. Stop right there. All right. F-I-V-E is a word. It's a number for five. 5 hats, 5 shoes.
Infinite health, infinite joy. And it goes on from one generation to another throughout all eternity. So I'm going to stop here. And the deity that is coming through today is Sekhmet. I'm going to start with Anejarak, Amenorah, Anutadirnet, Amenorah, Anuk, Amenorah. I'm calling Amun-Ra to come forth, to be here right now. Because in our DNA is everything. Everything that has been created and uncreated and recreated again, because we are infinite energy. So today I'm going to call another deity. I think that we need her very much, and her name is Sekhmet. And Sekhmet is the mother of gods. Sekhmet the Great. So I have 100 names of Sekhmet that I'm going to run through to revitalize this energy on your hard drive. Because all the deities are on your hard drive.
Remember our living legacy. One of the things that we must realize is that we're not makers of history, but we are made by history. That's a quote from Martin Luther King in 1964. So what I want to do in the next few slides is just sort of share some of that history and where we've come. 1957, Brother Nkrumah, Kwame Nkrumah, his quote when Ghana gained its independence was, "Forward ever, backward never." The picture that is here is very recent. It's a picture from July of this year. This group represents the African diaspora, and they were actually a contingency officially recognized by the Ghanaian government for being, for formulation. So in other words, the Ghana government officially recognizes the African diaspora. And this group, which is led by Sister Dr. Bennett, Dr. Erica Bennett, she's lead of the African Union, the African Diaspora Forum, officially recognized by the African Union. And several of these people in this group represent the Pan-African groups in diaspora. We have people from Jamaica, we have the UNIA represented, we have the African Union, I mentioned, Jamaica, Suriname, different people. And so this is the past, and here we are coming forward to the present.
Where is everybody? And she said, everybody is us. And when I go up to the phone, I would actually sit there and I would hear music, I would hear information coming to me, I would write down. I really had a feast because I believe that they were right camped all around us. That's when I look at the Bible verse that part that says, honor thy father and thy mother. If you honor your father and your mother, that continues on till they pass away, because they go into another form of their family, their mother-in-law. And you are all a part of a larger connected of many families coming together. So when we pray and we have communion and we sing and we give dance and we do all of that, we give energy.
And the reason for that is, if you don't have collective work and responsibility, then you're not going to have unity. And if you don't have unity, you're not going to have collective economics. So as a general rule, we should start from the basics or from the beginning. I shared with the facilitators the other night. I lived in Africa for some time, and I learned a lot of things there. And now that I'm home, I find myself frequently measuring by the things that I learned back home. One of the things you will find, and New York City sort of reflects it in a way, but if you're not a northerner or you are a northerner, they're probably desensitized to it. And if you're from the South, you're probably surprised by it. But if you go to New York, the people in New York, they hustle. They go out to get money. And they're not playing about it. Why do you think that is? Is it because of poverty? Some of it could be. But a lot of it is because we were always entrepreneurs. We was always people that we made the best of what we had. Back when we had the bartering system, see, money is an illusion.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Money does not exist. It don't exist in our minds.
Right. Yes, sir.
That's why they say it's legal tender, because they made everything that's useful and right illegal. Okay? But we created the barter systems. We created the money systems. We used cowrie shells for one currency. We use objects as a currency. Animals was a currency. So people might say, how do you use animals as a currency? Well, it's very simple. If I use cows as a dowry, those cows are currency. So we don't eat them.
Right.
Using the breed, right?
You understand? So we had other cows that we had raised for substance.
Yes, sir.
But the cows that I received as dowry for marriage to my daughters, I added to the family wealth so that when my son decides to marry, I can add those 10 cows to the 10 cows that I had before, and we can offer 20 cows for your daughter. So the richer I get, the more dowry I can offer.
In addition to the program on Saturday, we had a wonderful, a very uplifting and enlightening experience in Richmond's, I like to call it, or it is as we know it, African Way, which many people don't know of where African Way is, but we're here to enlighten and inform. And so, Linda, would you also talk about the wonderful activities that we had on Sunday?
The wonderful activities, thank you, Monica. The activities Sunday was just amazing. The participation was very lively, and everyone was willing to brave the weather because there was a hurricane, rumor that a hurricane was on the way. But despite the threat of inclement weather, the program went on, and we had a recognition of those ancestors that have come before us. We are recognizing their presence and their contribution to our life. And life is great. Life is great because they made it great for us, and they've given us they passed on to us the staff of life. And in that staff of life is everything that we need. And we need to take the knowledge, the information, the struggle, and the accomplishments of our ancestors so that we can move forward. And so we, in recognition of that, we sang songs, and then we recited prayers, and then there was a procession from the burial ground up to the Egyptian building. Right. It was very, very beautiful. And as we gathered together, there was this bust of Hippocrates at the center of the square between the buildings, right in front of the Egyptian building, and there's a bullseye. And so we all gathered around. All the members of the chamber and all of the participants were very, very excited about this moment. And so there was an opportunity for us to recognize that our ancestors have made a tremendous contribution to civilization, period, exclamation point. And we need to come back to that. And if someone doesn't know the African presence in global consciousness, then come to the chamber workshops and meetings, and so we'll bring you up to date on those kind of things. If there's any information missing in your gap of awareness, where you come from, it's just like the Sankofa bird. It's okay to go back to where you came from to gather the information that you need in order to move forward, because the Sankofa bird is shaped like a circle. It's unending. And so our ancestral presence is still here,
exactly,
right?
Exactly right.
Right.
Ah, yes.
And so we need to know that we have our ancestors helping us. And it's a good thing because it's in our DNA.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's in the blood. It's in, DNA is one of those topic areas that is people look to medicine as if medicine is the only place to find out information about your DNA. Mm-hmm. But in fact, it's your family. It's in your bloodline. It is, really in the air that you breathe. And it's a chemistry thing. And it's a mental thing as well.
It's a spiritual
thing. It's a very spiritual thing. So this whole day's program was really about elevating the spiritual essence of our community and learning how to fashion the positivity and the blessings and the light in our lives. That's what the whole experience was really all about. And so if you have not had that kind of experience in your life recently, then you definitely need to come and check us out.
I think that, and one thing to add about your DNA is that everything that has ever happened on this planet from the beginningless beginning is stored inside your body.
Exactly right.
It's right here.
Exactly right.
That means the failures and the victories.
We have victories.
And we have
victories and we are moving forward. If you have any doubt about the African diaspora moving forward, then come and check us out, because you will be elated to know that many positive things are going on around the world in your neighborhood. And so we invite you to come and learn about those very positive and uplifting things that are going on. As you know, she spoke about the DNA aspect. We have, we talked about business. We talked about social and the social aspect and mentoring our youth and including an intergenerational perspective. And that's really what this whole movement is about. And we're just 3 representatives of a larger body of people who are very excited about these times. And so hopefully the program that we're going to share with you today reflects that.
It'll speak to itself. One of the remarkable things that I really gathered from this whole experience was how, they had the impending storm that was supposed to come in.
Yeah, it was.
Mess the whole thing up.
Right.
And that was what storm, for everybody to know. What storm was that?
Sandy.
Hurricane Sandy.
Right.
Yes.
And
which was
she did some devastation.
Then we had the ancestors, Irene and Sister Joyce, who had just recently passed, and we were praying to these ancestors because this group is so dynamic and spiritual, and that's what we are basically trying to stay in contact, focus on our divinity.
Of course, because we are spirit in a body.
Exactly right. Exactly.
We are all, we will never be flesh and blood. And we live by principles and laws. And there are certain laws that are irrefutable and are unchangeable, and you can depend on them like gravity. If you can depend on gravity, taking one step and putting it out in front of, putting one foot in front of the other, then you can trust yourself in economic development. You can trust yourself in developing your soul, which means the development of your intellect, the development of your talents and skills, the development of your dreams, your hopes and desires for building a new civilization. And it requires you to study, to be literate, not in just European or Western civilization, but for you to be literate in the history of this planet.
The whole world.
Right.
The whole
the
world.
universe.
Because your whole family, your whole family is on this planet. You just don't have your immediate family that lives with you, that you associate with. But you belong to a huge global family.
And it has a long,
Right.
illustrious history. And it pays for us to know these facts.
Absolutely.
It pays for us to understand where you come from. Because without a history,
You are
You know,
an
and
animal.
another thing I try to always bring to mind is that it's so important that we contribute, because just like we said, we're standing on the ancestors' shoulders, soon
That's
someone
right.
will be standing upon our shoulders.
Absolutely.
You know? And by us trying to stay in contact and focused on our divinity, our divine self, following the laws of Ma'at, most of mankind's troubles comes from trying to think that he can do without the laws and disobey the laws. And so when you have the woes of humankind, it basically comes from a person ignoring the laws, which you just spoke about. You know, they're so important.
These
And-
people are called strangers.
Yeah, and so, you know, the thing I like about our particular group is that everybody in this particular group, regardless of what denomination we're in, we're all very spiritual beings. You know, and we make sure that we stay focused on that point, that it's not really Mawali doing something, or Sister Monica, or Queen Alset. It's we working. We are tools for the divine powers that be. And we
Absolutely.
do
You
the
know,
best that we can.
I'd like to point out what Reverend Josine Osborne brought forward. And she brought forward the immediate family. Bring out your photographs. Make sure that you do your picture albums. Gather all the family pictures together and put them in a photo album, and make sure, you know, that if you have pictures with your sister or your aunt or your cousin, that this history is preserved.
yeah, and also, you know, they have genealogy forms that you can that'll help you stay on track with documenting who your relatives are. And one of the key aspects, I think, of this program was not only for us to think about the past, but for us to remember that whatever we do today, we are moving forward to the future. We often hear, for example, in terms of being African Americans, that the first documented presentation was in 1619 in Virginia. Well, I have a question about that. But the point is, whether or not that is in fact the absolute truth, the point is that whatever we do today, we're documenting for the future.
Exactly right.
So we want to make sure that people understand that our presence, what our presence was here, and what we're doing here. And this chamber, what we're doing here is basically is setting precedents for our future. We are trying to uplift and to remember those divine principles, guidelines, and cultural practices that contributed to Africans being basically the fathers and mothers of the world, of the universe. And so we are powerful people.
Yeah, you know, it's a word I always like to use sometimes. It's called ineffable. And what it,
That's a big word.
yeah, and but basically what it means is that it can't be explained in words. You know, so when you start doing a lot of
That's only
things-
because you don't have a vocabulary.
Right, but listen, so what I'm saying is that the experience that we had Sunday when you did the chimes and the bells, the planetary bells, we didn't really get a chance to really complete that particular ritual
We can do it
was,
again.
It was, yeah, and invite the public to come in.
Of course.
It was so powerful and so dynamic and moving. It sent shivers up my spine, and really the spines of everybody there, because you could tell the way that they were looking, and you could feel the power that actually existed within that circle. That tell about the circle that we had made too. The sacred ground.
Yes, we created a sacred circle. Basically, African Way is formerly known as the African Burial Grounds, and if you don't know the history, that is a part of the Richmond slave trail. And our ancestors walked that trail. Also, that is the location where, as history has it, Gabriel Prosser was executed. And so we have a great deal of pain in that vicinity, but at the same time, there's a great story of healing, a great story of redemption, a great story of exodus for African people. And so we have basically created a sacred space to tell those wonderful stories. We got a wonderful program in store for you. We hope that you enjoy all aspects of the program. If you have any questions, feel free to give us a shout out. Our phone number is 804-363-3282. Our email is AfricanAncestralChamber@gmail.com.